I'm so sorry about this. I realize how distracting it is. I don't have the actual lav mic attachment yet, so. And I'm wearing a baggy t-shirt, so it just like. Now these are the basics. If you have never made a movie before, then this is the instruction you need. Now, quick disclaimer, this is definitely an overview because there is just a lot to go through in this video, but it should give you the direction you need in order to get started in filmmaking. So this video is sponsored by Lumix, and this video, as well as all of the shot examples you'll be seeing throughout the video today, are shot with the S5 IIX. We recently shot an entire video testing out this camera's capabilities and its features, as well as another video that's a full review on all of the specs of it. So if you'd like to take a peek at those two videos, they will be linked in the cards and in the description box below. First, let's get into pre-production. Now, this is everything that essentially comes before production and is arguably the most important part of the entire process. The entire film will fall apart without pre-production. Thorough, comprehensive, and clear preparation here will be what carry you through production and post-production seamlessly. Since we're all beginners here, I've actually designed a book called The Breakdown Book that helps you essentially plan your shoots. It's a really basic way of planning out your videos, but it's also a great way to get started on a small scale for those of you who are just getting started in filmmaking. I actually used it for my last video we shot with the S5 IIX to plan out the different shots and the lighting setups that we would need. Now, if you would like to produce how the professionals do, or you're filming something that requires more detail, filling out these forms that I'm going to mention will help ensure that you are well prepared. First, you need to write your script. Now, I like to write a 2-column script, 1 column with audio and 1 column with visuals. Now, put every detail in here from sound effects to graphics. Next, make your shot list. So a shot list is a detailed inventory, or essentially a plan of all of the individual shots or scenes that a filmmaker intends to capture during a particular shoot. Now, a shot list typically includes information such as shot descriptions, camera angles, camera movements, framing, and any other specific details relevant to each shot. Now, to take the clarity of your shot list one step further, you can make storyboards. Storyboards are a visual representation of each of those shots, consisting of drawings or illustrations that depict key scenes with accompanying notes. Now, they help visualize these scenes, communicate ideas, going between different crew members, solving problems early, and it also helps assist with budgeting and scheduling. Now, I actually purchased, here it is, here it comes. Oh God, everything's falling. Now, I actually purchased this storyboarding notebook as a pack with another one of these notebooks that's called a story clock notebook. And this one right here, the storyboard notebook, is essentially just a bunch of blank pages in order to draw some storyboards. And you can actually see right here that I've done that for some of my videos. So it's just a nice template if you like doing this with your hands, or a lot of people even do this on their iPads now, but I'm a millennial. I still like using a pencil. Now, the story clock notebook I have is more of a narrative worksheet. It's similar to a beat sheet, and a beat sheet is kind of a document used in screenwriting that outlines the key story beats or plot points of a screenplay or a movie or a film. It breaks down the narrative into fundamental components such as major events, character developments, and emotional arcs that essentially provide a roadmap to the story's structure or the progression of it. Now, the next most important document is a schedule. Now, there are a few different kinds of schedules. Now, for the shoot day itself, you can make something called a call sheet. A call sheet is a document used in film and television production that provides essential information to the cast and crew for each day's shoot of the production. So it includes details such as the shooting schedule, location, contact information for key personnel, and other important logistical information. Now, for the overall production, you can make something called a workback schedule. Now, a workback schedule is a timeline planning tool that outlines the sequence of tasks and deadlines needed to complete the entire project by its final deadline. This next one I don't always use, and it depends on the complexity of what I'm shooting, but it's called a breakdown sheet. Now, a breakdown sheet is a document used in film and television production to systematically analyze a script and then identify all of the elements that are needed for filming, and that includes different locations, characters, props, wardrobe, special effects, all of those little things, so that you're not running into your scene going, wait, is this when she's wearing this outfit, and what kind of props do we need now? And you're just going off of memory. All of that is included in your breakdown sheet. Let's move on to production. And of course, we're gonna talk about gear. You're welcome. Okay, you've probably heard this 1,000 times over, but the best camera you have is the one that you have on you. So if that's your phone, use your phone. People have made amazing films on iPhones. For example, this film called Unsane was shot entirely on an iPhone, and it is fantastic. But here's why having a high quality camera like the Lumix S5 IIX, for example, for filmmaking is crucial. There are several reasons actually. First is image quality. Now, a high quality camera can capture clear, sharp, and detailed images, which is essential for creating visually stunning and professional looking films. It ensures that the final product meets the expectations of audiences and industry standards. It also tends to become less distracting for the viewer because it's closer to the level of detail of the human eye. Now, the Panasonic Lumix S5 IIX is a video powerhouse. So it's equipped with a 24 megapixel full frame sensor. It can record 4K video at up to 60 frames per second, as well as an impressive 6K at 2430 frames per second. Now, it's got 10-bit 422 internal recording. Video can be captured in a variety of formats, including MP4, MOV, and H.264 and H.265. There is also an option to record footage in the all-intra format, which is essentially a form of compression that allows you a little less processing power when you're editing in post. The next thing a high-quality camera offers you is flexibility and control. Now, high-quality cameras offer a wide range of settings, features, and shooting modes that provide filmmakers with greater flexibility and control over the creative process. Now, this includes options for adjusting exposure, focus, color balance, frame rate, resolution, and it allows filmmakers to achieve their desired aesthetic and visual style. Something else a high-quality camera offers is low-light performance. Cameras like this one perform super well in low-light conditions and allow filmmakers to capture high-quality footage even in challenging lighting situations. Now, this is particularly important for shooting indoors at night or in any environment with limited natural light. Next, let's talk about dynamic range, because a camera with high dynamic range can capture a wider range of tones and colors, from the darkest shadows to the brightest highlights. Now, this helps preserve detail in both the shadows and the highlights of the image, which results in a more visually appealing and immersive viewing experience. Now, the Lumix log profile has an extended dynamic range, giving you so much flexibility to edit in post and making it very easy to work with. And then we've got post-production flexibility. High-quality cameras capture footage with greater detail and fidelity, providing more flexibility in post-production. So filmmakers can then manipulate and edit the footage more effectively, apply color grading, visual effects, and any other enhancements to achieve the desired look and feel of the film that they're going for. Now, if you just let me brag about this camera for another moment here, the standout feature of the Lumix S5 IIX has to be the recording format. In the S5 IIX's ability to record Apple ProRes 422 RAW and Blackmagic RAW, which you don't find typically outside of cinema cameras. And for those unfamiliar with these codecs, they are popular codecs in professional post-production that retain a high level of detail and color accuracy. And then let's talk about professionalism and perception for a second. Using a high-quality camera can enhance the perceived professionalism and credibility of a film project, especially for clients. Audiences often associate a higher production value with higher quality cameras, so that can lead to a more positive reception and greater engagement in the film and blah, 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 blah. Overall, what I'm trying to get at is that investing in a high quality camera is, in my opinion, essential for filmmakers who aim to create visually impressive, technically proficient, and professionally polished films. However, if you beginners are just getting started, start with whatever you got right now. Now, crafting a visual story is challenging. You have to think of ways to tell the story effectively, and then once you get the hang of it, artistically. Now, here's a basic outline of a few shots and rules to help you get started on your very first shot list. No idea how long this has been up, but here's all my music that I like. And there's my moon background again. Open your scene with an establishing shot. Now, this is essentially a wide shot that sets the location for your scene to take place in. It tells the viewer that, hey, this is where the rest of this moment or scene will be taking place. And if you think about it, if you only started with one of the close-ups, then the audience wouldn't have any idea what's happening around them in that scene. Now, there are a variety of terms used to describe shots, like wide shots, medium shots, close-ups, extreme close-ups, and over-the-shoulder shots, for example. And the way you shoot something affects how it is felt by the viewer. For example, you can use shooting from a high angle or a low angle to imply that the character is very powerful and confident, or meek and uncertain. Lead room, for example, is the space in front of a subject's face or direction of movement in a frame. It's used to create balance and guide the viewer's attention in photography or filmmaking. This is frequently done in tighter shots during a conversation between two characters or an interview. There are also a few rules for filming, like the 180-degree rule. Now, the 180-degree rule in filmmaking ensures consistency in spatial relationships between characters and objects within a scene. Now, what the hell does that mean? It basically says that the camera has to stay on one side of an imaginary line connecting characters, so it prevents any disorienting perspective changes that could occur. So we've got the frame, we've got the angle, we've got an idea of how we're going to be choosing those things in order to convey something to the audience. But now we also need to communicate the type of movement. I know it's a lot, but it's important. Here are a few examples of the type of movement you could include. So you could have a tracking shot, a push in, a pull out, a rack focus, a pan, something handheld, something more floating, or a static shot. This is probably a good idea for me to mention that I do have another course that'll give you more detail on different moves and techniques for capturing better footage. So I run through equipment, composition, and types of motion, plus other lots of like must-to-know tips, little details and things like that. So if you're interested, the link for that will be in the description as well. When it comes to shooting with different types of movement, the reason that I like the Lumix is because of the open gate feature. So it basically allows you to use the entire sensor's image to capture your shot. So when you adjust your aspect ratio later in post, it'll give you that room you might need to crop or reframe or stabilize the shot further. And then the Lumix autofocus also does have a tracking mode and some other great autofocus settings like human detection to fine-tune your autofocus experience and the sensitivity depending on the type of shot or movement that you're performing. So I would factor this in when you're making your shot list if you don't have someone pulling focus for you. So moving past our shot lists and composition and different techniques with stabilization, let's have a moment for lighting. Now, lighting is a super important part of filmmaking because you're trying to craft a look that is both aesthetically pleasing, yet is also true to the scene that you're trying to create or that you're filming. Now, I will say that when you are just starting out and you don't necessarily have a ton of experience or a ton of gear, try to get a camera that's great in low lighting conditions. Now, this Lumix has dual native ISO. So that's ISO 640 and ISO 4000, which is great at shooting in low lighting conditions. Last but not least, the unsung hero, and that is audio. I will say, audio is essential in filmmaking. Here's why. It creates an immersive atmosphere, it communicates dialogue and plot, it evokes emotion, enhances realism, it guides attention and focus, it shapes rhythm and pace, enhancing the storytelling impact of your film. So whether you're using a lav or a boom, ensure that the audio you're capturing is as clean as possible because it can be super distracting and really, really cheapen your work. Also, if you haven't heard of this before, ensure you're recording room tone. So room tone is the ambient sound of a location capture doing filming when no dialogue or action is present. It's used in post-production to maintain consistency and blend audio seamlessly. For example, this is room tone, and you would put it under all of my dialogue so that when you're cutting my dialogue, it doesn't just sound like complete nothing. You're getting the sound of the room in the background instead. Then once you get into post-production, you'll want to add any sound effects to enhance the realism of the film or the video. So these effects could be footsteps or a door creaking, for example. And then you have to make sure they're synchronized with the visuals in order to enrich the audio experience. And finally, we've reached post-production, the third and final stage of production and the bookend of your filmmaking experience. Other than marketing it, that's not what we're getting into. We're just talking about making the thing right now. Beginner filmmakers should know several key aspects about post-production, okay? First, you need to understand the fundamentals of your video editing software. Learn how to assemble footage, trim clips, add transitions, and adjust audio levels. And there are tons of videos online to help you learn about this, but overall, I would say practice makes perfect. I do have some tutorials on my channel, but I would say you just kind of got to go in and figure it out for yourself and try some stuff. For whatever particular editing software to use, I would check out their YouTube channel because usually there are tons of tutorials there. I know for a fact that Premiere Pro on the Adobe YouTube channel has tons of tutorials on using their editing software. And I'm sure that there are tons of tutorials on YouTube now of how to use DaVinci, for example. Color grading is also crucial in filmmaking because it sets the mood and the atmosphere, and it ensures that there's visual consistency throughout each shot. It also helps to highlight any key elements. It plays a big part in establishing the time and place. It enhances the visual appeal of what you're watching, and it also allows for creative expression. By manipulating the color palette, contrast, and saturation, filmmakers can evoke specific emotions and guide the viewer's focus to create a visually stunning and cohesive narrative that leaves a lasting impression on the audience. When it comes to coloring the footage from the Lumix S52X, Panasonic is renowned for their color science. It is designed to produce accurate and pleasing skin tones, so we've definitely noticed that, and it's been a pleasure to color correct. Post-production is also the stage where you would add any sound design, Foley, ADR, and visual effects like text overlays and any really basic compositing. Now, I don't unfortunately have enough time in this video to teach you guys how to do all of these things, but one thing I can help instill in you is when you get to this stage of production, organization and workflow are incredibly important. And I do have a video where I go into the structure of this in more detail, and I'll link that in the cards and in the description box below. Because that's one thing no one taught me, and I had a lot of very messy project files initially. I know that post-production, especially when you're first starting and you're doing it all yourself, can feel really challenging and time-consuming, but perseverance is key. Be patient with yourself while you're learning and practicing your skills, and I have no doubt that over time you will learn the skills to absolutely execute your creative goals. That was a lot to get through. I hope you guys made it to this stage of the video. That was your intro to filmmaking, your filmmaking 101, all of the different things you need to know in order to get started and take it back to the computer, take it back into your little creative workspace and get going on your first film. So good luck. Let me know if I can answer any more questions in the comments below. And big thanks to Lumix again for sponsoring this video. If you like this video, please give it a like down below, subscribe if you're not already, and hit that notification bell to get notified for all future videos. It really, really helps support this channel. And let me know what else you guys would like to learn if you're a beginner around here and you need a little help with something. I would love to assist. We're gonna take this and we're gonna go. Okay, bye.